Well, here we are. We are at podcast number 1 for FivesSquared. So please let me know if you have any feedback, comments, everything from our quality to topics that you might want to learn more about. So the first thing in this first podcast is, who am I? What is FivesSquared? What do we do? Why are we doing it? You know, the bottom line is that I've been around the world a couple times. I've consulted for some of the biggest companies in the world and some of the smallest. And what really gives FivesSquared a little bit of a differentiator is that we're a business consulting firm, business coaching firm, and even doing some personal coaching for people that want to get more out of life. For companies that want to grow, companies that are stagnant, companies that need technology and don't know where to go, companies that are stuck in the we've been doing this for 20 years this way and we're not going to change anything because it's been working, except it's working until you see their bottom line. So that's a little bit about FivesSquared, and you know, we're going to have a series of podcasts and blogs and toolkits that we're going to take and give what we know to the people and teach people how to fish. I think that's a big differentiator for our firm. We have a lot of great partners that will be coming in on these podcasts and on our seminar series that we're going to be launching in 2017. I'm excited about that, and as we move forward, we're going to show what those are all about. About myself, I've been business coaching for about 20 years. Business consulting, I guess you could say. Coaching has a different connotation, but we have tried and true methods that I've collected over the years that I think companies are dying for, especially going forward into a growth mode. I don't know if anybody's seen the stock market lately, but she's banging away with the elections, whether you like it or not. Who's been elected, they're hopefully going into a pro-growth mode, and I think that's going to stem competition, and I think it's going to force companies to get more out of their employees, more out of what they have, and you know, that's what we're all about doing here. You know, one of the things, one of the things that I was at a seminar earlier this last week, and you know, one of the things that came out of it when a bunch of us business leaders were talking was, what do you do when you're stagnant? And we were talking to a gentleman, and he's like, hey, I got all these HR issues and questions and loyalty issues with people, but they're just not performing. And one of the things that came out of that was a lot of us convince ourselves because there's good people that they should be in the roles they're in. And I think we need to really evaluate the people we have in our organizations, the skill sets that they bring, and the type of personality they are to the proper role. And in this gentleman's case, you know, the consensus really came down to the fact that you have good people, but they're just not aligned. And sometimes people get complacent. Sometimes people just take advantage of you as a business leader. Sometimes they take advantage of you because, hey, you're my brother-in-law, or you're my best friend. I've known you since kindergarten, and I don't think I need to work that hard anymore. So in those scenarios, I'd really recommend sitting down with the employee saying, hey, this isn't getting it done. We're not growing. You're not holding up your end of the bargain here. We need to move forward and set reasonable goals for them to participate and get their feedback. How do you want to participate? How do you want to help grow this company? And see if they start to make the trip with you. If they don't, then you got to cut them loose. Not just for your good and the company's good, but for that employee's good. I mean, that employee's not going to get anything out of an organization that just lets them skate by. They're not going to get pushed. They're not going to get challenged. They probably don't feel good about themselves anyway because they know they're not doing what they need to be doing. So work with them to get them out and into a role or into a company that's going to fulfill them. So with that, one of the things that I always like to look at, especially for business leaders, is making decisions. And this happens to everybody, not just business leaders, but you know, when we start to get overwhelmed, we start to get into this paralysis of analyze. And when you get in there, that's paralysis. We'll talk about planning and goal setting and all that in a later podcast, but this thing, when you get into that, you have to start making decisions, because once you make a decision, then you can make another one and another one and another one, and string a bunch of decisions along to get yourself moving. And even if you make the wrong decision, then you can correct it by making some good ones and moving forward. So with that, I'm going to conclude my first podcast. I hope everybody's enjoyed it. Our next series of podcasts are going to be really around goal setting for 2017. How are you getting the most out of yourself? What are the components of that? So stay tuned. Check us out at FivesSquared.com, and I hope you have a wonderful day.